Welcome back to a Timey Wimey Pod, where we watch every episode of Doctor Who from 2005 onwards. My name's Rebecca,
I'm Haley.
and today we are discussing Series 15, Episode 2, Lux. Second episode of the new season. How are we feeling?
Okay, first off, please release the episodes at a different time. I personally feel like they should be releasing the episodes an hour earlier. So, yeah, it would be 7 a.m., so really early for the UK fans, but in America, at least it would air at 11 p.m., which is better than 12 a.m.
Yeah, because for where we are, the episodes are coming out at midnight, and that's just not working for us. We can't
No.
stay up that late, even on a Friday. And then we have to watch the episode first thing Saturday morning
Mm-hmm.
or risk being spoiled. So it's really been rough out here, but we will prevail. We will survive.
We will. They can't keep us down. And this episode is one of those that I'm so glad I wasn't spoiled beforehand because we'll get into it. This episode was just another level. But before we get into talking about it, do you have any fantastic facts for us?
I sure do. So this episode aired April 19th. It was written by Russell T Davies and directed by Amanda Brotiche. Love to see another female director enter the house. This is her first episode, but she's also directing next week's episode, The Well. So I'm really, really excited because I thought she did a great job directing this episode. So I'm really interested to see what she does next week.
Yeah, I really loved the directing of this episode, so I'm excited to see what she will bring to the table next week.
Now, I feel like I'm gonna have to say this every episode. The Fantastic Facts aren't to their usual, level because they're just not as interesting for new episodes. You really got to let some time pass before you get the
Mhm.
real dirt. For those that don't know, Lux was voiced by Alan Cumming, who previously appeared as King James in Series 11, Episode 8, The Witchfinders. So kind of funny to have him back so soon, but I saw in some behind the scenes thing Russell say that, since they weren't actually showing him, they could get away with it.
I think it's really funny that they brought him back, which I completely support them bringing him
Mhm.
back because he did an excellent job as Mr. Ringading.
Oh yeah.
It's just so funny to have someone return to the show as another character so close.
Mhm. Doctor Who's really the British Law and Order because both shows just have actors show up as multiple characters because both
Mhm.
shows have been on for so long, and I love it.
Me too.
Also, according to Unleashed, Russell wanted to do a episode with a living cartoon for a long time, and I guess back in the day, he even tried to do an episode with a hologram. But as is always the case with Doctor Who, budget constraints, so didn't happen. But I think that's what's so great about having him back at the show now is he can do all these things that they weren't able to do before.
Definitely.
And my last fantastic fact today is that Pam Down, the costume designer, said Belinda's dress was inspired by West Side Story.
I can definitely see that in the dress, and
Yeah.
we will get into
Oh,
it.
we
But
will
this
get
dress
into it.
is marvelous. Okay.
There's so much to talk about. You guys, this episode is crazy.
It's bonkers. Completely off the wall. I did not know what I was watching. I mean, I did. It was very Doctor Who, but there was so much in this episode. Before we get all into it, please tell me, as a whole, what are your thoughts on this episode? What were your initial thoughts? Did they change at all, rewatching it?
I don't think they've changed at all. I have maybe a few critiques about the villain that we'll get into, but I also don't want to be too nitpicky because I'll get into why later. But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. It's something new, it's something fresh, it's something crazy and wacky, and it's only something that Doctor Who could do. No other show in the universe could do this.
I completely agree. RTD not only had this like insanely creative concept for this episode, but I think he really aced it in executing it, and I really enjoyed it as well. I do have my critiques for sure in this episode. Like, it's not a solid 10 out of 10 for me, but I enjoyed this so much.
Oh, same. Let's start at the beginning. I thought it was really funny how much they focused on the spoon, and that the spoon, because the light reflected from the moon to the spoon to a pin on the wall. I just thought it was funny that it all kind of came back to the spoon. And at first I was like, is this going to connect to Empire of Death? Because there was a whole thing with the spoon in that episode. But no, just a coincidence, I guess.
I don't think it's a coincidence personally. I don't think it's connected to Empire of Death at all, but as soon as I saw that spoon, I instantly thought of Maestro from The Devil's Cord and that whole spoon thing in the cafeteria. And then
yeah,
on the marquee, when it said the Harvest Bringer, I knew it was Harbinger because the image low-key got leaked back when it was being filmed. So
rip.
so like I've known that for a while. And as soon as Mr. Ring-a-Ding laughed that classic giggle laugh, I knew exactly what we were dealing with. But yeah, all of those like pieces connected together really easily for me.
Wow, you're really smart. I didn't even think about that. I didn't even connect it to the Devil's Cord. I just to jump ahead a little bit since you mentioned it, when he keeps saying like, don't make me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, well, why? And then he laughs and it's the giggle. Like, I was shook when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that was such a great reveal.
Oh, it was such a good reveal. I was clutching my pearls as soon as he giggled.
Exactly. Also, something I want to point out in the beginning of the episode when they're all watching the movie or the little animated short, whatever they're watching, and Mr. Ring-a-Ding is talking to Sunshine Sally. At the end of the episode, Mrs. Flood is dressed just like Sunshine Sally, which I think is interesting.
Totally.
So, does Mrs. Flood have a TARDIS?
At this point, I don't know what the heck is up with Mrs. Flood because it's not a Susan Twist situation where Susan Twist has no recollection. Sorry, where Mrs. Flood has no recollection. She's literally the ultimate stalker. She was stalking Ruby, stalking Belinda, and stalking the Doctor and Belinda. So you make a good point. Does she have her own TARDIS, her own teleport? Like, what's going on here? And please just reveal it at this point. Like, girl, give us more clues.
I really kind of am at the point where I'm like, okay, just tell. I just need to know. I think dragging out a reveal like this for 2 seasons is, I don't know, it's kind of a lot. Like, imagine if we didn't know who Missy was for 2 seasons.
That would actually be so crazy and actually annoying.
Yeah.
Dang. You're right. Yeah. I am very interested to see in how everything will pan out with Mrs. Flood, but I'm with you.
Now, one of our biggest complaints about last season was the lack of TARDIS scenes. But I feel, I don't want to jinx it because it's only the second episode, but we've really been getting fed with some great TARDIS scenes. I loved the scene in this episode. I love 15 tinkering with the TARDIS. I thought that was so great, and their whole conversation. I loved it.
Like you, I am so happy it is the second episode, so hopefully we're not speaking too soon. But I love the back and forth between Belinda and 15, and Belinda saying that her dad is in taxes and that her mom is a violinist with the orchestra. And
which also, not to bring it back to the lady with the spoon in Empire of Death, she literally talks about how she like used to be at an orchestra or used to go to an orchestra or an opera house. She used to go to an opera house. And I don't know, something about that just caught my attention.
Wait a second. I'm going to hold on to that.
Also, I just feel like Ncuti Gatwa has really settled into this role.
Yes.
Every line he delivers is so good. Every expression he makes is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love when Belinda's like, "Let's go to Time Lordia," and he's like, "Oh, I wish it was called that." Like every line he says, I'm so obsessed with.
Me too. I really feel like the 15th Doctor is really at a high in this episode in terms
Hmm.
of just who he is as that incarnation. And it makes me so excited to see what else that Ncuti is going to bring to the table in future episodes because, yeah, I really do think he has settled into the role and he's really felt even more like the Doctor than he has previously.
Yeah, definitely. Can we talk about how long of a day Belinda has had? Because
Yeah.
it starts for them immediately where they ended off in the robot revolution. So, mind you, in this whole day for Belinda, she had a whole shift,
Mm-hmm.
came home, dealt with her roommates, then got abducted by robots, taken to a planet named after her, had the whole robot revolution happen. Now she had to deal with this whole thing in 1952 Miami. Girl has had a long day.
Yeah, it's usually a 12-hour shift for nurses. Whether it's day
Yeah.
shift or night shift, it's 12 hours. So if Belinda worked a 12-hour shift, then was abducted, and then went investigating Mr. Ringading.
Yeah.
That's actually insane. Girly, how are your eyes open? I don't
Like
understand.
literally get her home. Like get her home.
Get her
And
home
her
to her
talking
bed.
about and her talking about her parents and her
Yeah.
being like, "Please, I really want to see them again." Like, "Oh, get her home. Get my girl home." Also, can we talk about how this is such a silly thing to bring up, but why does it feel like the companions, like, they either have friends that they're like constantly mentioning that we never see, or they don't have any friends? Because they're always like, "Yeah, I need to get home to see my mom or see my parents." Okay, what about your friend? You don't want to see your friend Susan again? And I'm just always because if it was me, I'd of course be like, "Yes, I want to see my parents and siblings again." But I'd also be like, "I gotta go talk to my friends. I gotta go see my friends."
No, me too. I would be like, y'all would never guess the day I had. You're so right. Like, where's the Daenerys of Belinda's life?
Yeah, you're telling me she doesn't have like another nurse friend that she tells everything to, like who
Mm-hmm.
she just wants to go grab a drink with and rant about how everything has gone mad in her life all of a sudden.
Such a good point.
So, in this scene, we also see the Doctor make a vortex indicator or vindicator, which I thought was really funny. And I have a feeling that this is going to be something that's going to become part of the season and that they're going to be taking out at every
Yeah.
stop. Because he said they have to land like 3 times to try and triangulate May 24th.
Yeah, which is really interesting because there's definitely more than 3 episodes coming. So it will be interesting to see how it's incorporated.
Definitely.
Okay, the intro of this episode was so freaky. I did not realize until watching this episode that a cartoon could actually be scary because
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Ringading, first of all, like literally abducting all of these people and putting them in film strips, and then later on, when interacting initially with Belinda and 15, the tap dancing behind the curtain
Oh, yeah.
and just saying
Crazy.
ta-da, like so creepy, and the knocking on the door like knock knock, open up, open up, open up. He was freaky. I loved him, but he was freaky.
Definitely. So, what do we think about going back to the TARDIS? What do we think about them kind of shooting the scene where they go get on their outfits in the same way that they did in The Devil's Cord last season? Because that clip came out a few weeks before the season
Mm-hmm.
even started, and people were mad about it online.
Yeah, they were very upset for sure. Honestly, I'm not upset about it. Do I wish there was more uniqueness or individuality with that moment of them getting dressed? I wish it was slightly different and wasn't like a copy paste of 15 and Ruby, but I'm not like upset about it. Like, I still think it's cute, and it's like a scene that's really not that big of a deal to be that upset about.
No, I agree. It's not a big deal. Like, I get it's an intentional callback to
Mm-hmm.
last season. I do wish, like, okay, we didn't need to do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's a cool shot. I didn't need to see it again. However, I do love the TARDIS lights turning to yellow as soon as
Mm-hmm.
Belinda walks out, and I love how the doctor spins her in her dress. Okay, we need to talk about the dress because
I'm obsessed.
I'm obsessed. She looks so good. Yellow is Belinda's color.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. It's so iconic. And Shuti looks great too. I love his suit and his pink
Yeah.
little bow tie. So good. So good.
Yeah, I love it. And I love the music playing in the background and her dress. I just cannot get over her dress. I fear that nothing else she wears this season will compare to this. Also, her hair. I
Oh, so
love
good.
her hair. It's so good.
It's so good. Yeah, I'm just absolutely obsessed with the dress. I totally see the West Side Story inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
She looks so good. They look so great together. Yeah, I'm obsessed.
Me too.
I love how excited she gets when the doctor says they're in Miami in 1952 and she's like, "Get out of my way, like let's go." She's starting to get into it a little bit,
Yeah.
and I like that.
Oh, I love it. She is so me, just taking advantage while you're there, anyways. I love that she's like, yeah, I want to get home, but I mean, we might as well pop out and see what's out there.
I mean, we got to explore.
Yeah, we got to explore. And I have been trying to remember, maybe you remember better than me. Do you remember the last America episode? Because I do not.
I think it was Rosa unless something came
Oh, that's right.
after.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got it. Yeah,
Yeah,
this
I
is our
think
first
so.
US based episode in a while. Shout out to the US fans.
Yes.
Occasionally we win, even though they didn't shoot this anywhere near Miami.
No, they did not. And as far as I know, everyone were using American accents, but they were all actually not American.
Yeah.
Which no shade.
Yeah, it's okay. But yeah, if you guys ever want to come and film in the US again, that would be really cool of you.
It would be really amazing. And, we're here for you. Free marketing, free interaction. We will
Yeah.
market the show.
Just hit us up.
I love the moment where Belinda is just like, okay, let's go. The thing is done here. Like, let's go home or figure out like where we need to go next. And he can't hold it in. He can't help investigating. Honestly, neither can I. But I just love that moment where he's trying so hard. But she's like, you want to investigate the haunted cinema, don't you? And he's like, yeah. And she's just like, you're Scooby-Doo. And he's like, no, I'm Velma. And
Honey, I'm Velma. That is one of the best
iconic
lines that has ever been uttered in this show. As a child that was literally raised by Scooby-Doo, I loved this. All the Scooby-Doo references, perfect.
Perfection. And I love that she just relents and goes along with him to investigate why the heck this cinema is locked up, and across the way is a diner.
Before we get into the diner, I have a little nitpick. Only the doctor would think a chained cinema is weird or strange or that something would be amiss. He's like, who chains up a cinema? I don't know, a cinema that's closed. Like, that's not crazy. It goes back to the Christmas special when they're like, there's always a locked door in a hotel room. Like, is there? Like, is that really
Not
what people are thinking about? And then later in the episode, when it's like, what's the one thing I never do? I don't know. How are we supposed to know? Like, they keep making things out of things that aren't there. Like, it's not a thing that it would be weird for a cinema to be chained up. And with the villain, it's like, what's the one thing I never do? How would we know what the one thing you never do is?
No, literally.
Like, how were they supposed to know he never goes outside?
Such a good point, because I was lost every time. I was trying to figure out the riddle. I was trying to use my brain and
Yeah. I was so
could not.
confused.
Me
No.
too. I was so confused.
Okay. Going into the diner, I really loved this whole scene. First off, just like any scene in a diner,
Perfection.
I'm there. And I really like how they address the time period and the setting that they're in, being to people of color, and how the doctor says, yeah, like it's legal for us to be here right now.
Yeah.
And him just kind of facing it like the doctor always does. Like Russell has said in interviews, when people ask, like, oh, what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to deal with this? Like, the doctor being a person of color when he goes to the past. And Russell just says he's just going to do what he always does, just be the doctor and do what he does. And I love how he says, do you have the line about what he says to Belinda in the diner?
Yeah, he says, I have toppled worlds. Sometimes I wait for people to topple the world. Until then, I live in it and I shine.
That I loved. Him just saying I shine, like that's what the doctor's going to be doing. He just shines through, gets through it, and keeps being the doctor like he always has done.
Yeah, and I think it brings up yet again not the same, because the issues are always different in historical episodes, but there's always some sort of moral or societal thing that gets brought up. Like in this episode, it's segregation, and why isn't the doctor doing anything about it? In reality, he can't do anything about it. But I do like when the show doesn't shy away from these topics or from these things that happened in history that affected a large group of people in a really negative way. And it's definitely a huge improvement than how anything with Martha went down during her tenure in series 3.
Which is why we need the Martha Jones to return.
Please, Queen, come back.
Martha and Belinda would get along so well. I love them sitting down with Tommy Lee's mother and her talking about Tommy Lee and him going to the movie theater all the time. And then she says, I thought they had given up, and then they dropped off this police box. And the doctor asks if that gives her hope. And she says, yes, it does. And I just love that so much. Like, I love the TARDIS being this symbol of hope. And even though she doesn't know it as the TARDIS and connect it to the doctor, she still has this feeling of hope and that someone is coming to help. And I love that so much.
Do you know what that line reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of the moment in Dave the Doctor when she's telling the doctor, hear that, and it's the sound of the TARDIS. And she's like, that's the sound of hope, even to you.
Oh, so good. So good. I love that line.
Me too. It eats every time. And it just made me think of that. And I love when like hope is brought up in this show. I really like it.
Since you brought up the moment, aka Bad Wolf, aka
Rose Tyler,
I have to mention, the first time I watched this episode, I kept thinking about how 10 rose coded it was. I just think aesthetically it was not even aesthetically. I don't know. Why was I thinking about the Idiot's Lantern? I don't know. Are they similar at all? Not really. But this episode was just so 10 rose coded to me. And I just kept thinking about Belinda's dress and what it would be like if it was pink. And that's all I have to say.
Now I really wish 10 Rose experienced this episode in some sort of way.
I wish they experienced a lot of things.
Me too. Okay. We need to talk more about Mr. Ring-a-Ding because I need to know all of your thoughts on this creature.
I loved this. First off, the animation looks incredible. The whole episode. It's so good. Like, it almost feels like they ripped a character directly from some old movie or some old short because it's so familiar in so many ways. The voice is perfect, the facial expressions. I love the scene where Belinda and the doctor are talking to him and Mr. Ringading's like, I don't know how I got here. I'm all alone. I'm the only one. And the doctor just sees right through him.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
So good. I love how like his own soundtrack starts playing. And Belinda's like, you've got your own soundtrack.
Yeah.
But the moment where like 15 is like, Belinda, step away from Mr. Ringading,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you know it's going down, because that's right before, the giggle comes out. And when I watched this episode, I literally said out loud, watch, Don't Make Me Laugh is going to be the new Don't Blink. I said that before any mention of Blink in this episode was brought up.
That's really funny. You called
Yeah,
it.
I called it.
I love later when he's trying to walk up the stairs and it's taking him so long.
Yeah.
He's like, I never should have learned perspective.
No, the jokes in this episode were so funny.
So good. Something I noticed when the doctor is explaining the pantheon of gods, because we should mention that Lux is.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, this is where I'll get into a little bit of my nitpicks. Lux is the god of light. What does that have to do with like animation and film and TV? Like, I think if you're gonna do the god of light, you could just do something else. You could do something more light focused, like maybe almost not 42, because
we don't need to repeat.
We don't need 42, but something like that. You know what I mean? For this, if you're gonna have it focused on animation and film and storytelling, make it the god of storytelling. I don't know, but it didn't need to be the god of light, I guess. I mean, it did because of the ending, but do you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
I know what you mean. I took the beginning with the whole thing with the spoon to mean that, like, at first, Mr. Ringading was just like your standard cartoon, like just normal. People saw movies or whatever of Mr. Ringading, and just the light hitting the spoon and then hitting the screen. I feel like Mr. Ringading is the vessel where the God of Light was in, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying, because the two themes don't quite go together. The God of Light and like an animated cartoon.
Yeah, like with Maestro and the Toy Maker, that makes more sense. Like Maestro, music, makes sense. Yeah. Toy Maker, games, makes sense. But here it's just like, I don't know, it didn't really connect as well, but again, just being a little nitpicky.
But we should talk about Reginald. What are our thoughts on him? Do we think he was justified in doing what he did?
No.
I agree. Like, sir, I've lost people I love dearly. I would not do that.
Yeah. And like, to be fair, he didn't really do anything. Like, he definitely wasn't working for Lux or Mr. Ringading. Like, he didn't want those people to disappear. All these things kind of happened to him, and he's just kind of there now. But I don't know, the whole thing of being like, he's doing this now because Lux can bring back his wife. It's just, I don't know. It's also like that, that's not actually your wife, and he says like, don't say she's not real, but it's like, she's not, and that. You know what I mean?
I feel like I understand his motivations in the sense that, like, of course, you lose someone you love dearly and you want to remember them. You want, like, that one last interaction with them. Like, I understand his motivations. I don't understand why he didn't have a problem knowing that, like, 15 people were trapped in film strips.
We don't really get a whole lot of time with him because he's definitely scared of Lux, and he's trying to get the Doctor and Belinda out. Like, he doesn't want anything bad to happen to them. So he's definitely not a bad character. I think he's almost kind of just trapped there himself.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I do really like. I know I keep bringing up the film strips, but I do really like the effect. Like how like they're literally alive in the film strips, and Belinda like clocked that. That was a really good moment.
Yeah. I also really like when Reggie's talking about his wife, and he says, "You've never seen such a girl," and Ncuti Gatwa's face again, is just so perfect when he says that line. It's so
Mm-hmm.
sweet and so nostalgic. I don't know what it is about it, but just the facial expressions, the facial acting in that moment from Shuti is so good. Also, another little nitpick. I know, I'm sorry, we're really jumping around. But after the giggle happens and then outside the letters drop so it reads Harbinger, they can't see that. They're inside. So
No, but maybe it's supposed to be more meta, like for us, the viewers watching.
yeah, okay.
I don't know. That's how to make it better because you're right. Like they
Yeah,
can't even see
okay.
that.
Yeah.
Um Before we get into really honestly like the meat of this episode, there is an entire quote that Lux says. And this is just so Doctor Who, and even though I have my problems with Lux, this line ain't. He says, I am Lux Imperator, the god of light. I am the
Mhm.
dazzle at the heart of the pantheon, and the glint in the eyes of the mad. I am the last thing you see before you fall into the abyss.
Yeah, I loved that. Russell
Yeah,
is so great about writing dialogue from villains, like that speech and everything the Toymaker said. It's so good and just really adds to the fear of it all.
definitely. Okay, when Lux turns Belinda and the Doctor into 2D animation,
Mhm.
it is so funny to me that they're having like such a serious moment in the most unserious visual kind of way.
I love that so much. I thought that was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so funny because when the trailer came out and the doctor said, I'm the last of the Time Lords, everyone was like, oh, we're doing this again. And then they have that moment in the animated scene. And I just thought that was the perfect way to go through it because we don't need the whole dramatic I'm the last of the Time Lords, like my planet is gone, there was a
Mm-hmm.
genocide, blah, blah, blah. Like we get it, we've done it, great. And so just having it thrown in that animated moment was great. I loved it.
Oh, I loved it too. I think it's even funnier that he said that after he noticed that Belinda kept getting more dimensional, like the more upset and sadder she was and like in what she was saying. And he's like, got it. I am the last of the Time Lords. Gallifrey does not exist. Like, I just think it's funny. Like, that's where he instantly went to. He's like, not a problem. I'm going back to my spiel.
Gotta pull that one out. Um, I also love how Belinda says, like, I don't know if you're gonna get me home, like you say you
Yeah.
are. And how the doctor says, I'm really worried that something really bad happened in 2025. It's
Mm-hmm.
so great for them to have that kind of honest moment in such a crazy way. But yeah, I really loved that. And I love how it comes back at the end and Belinda says, all those things we said when we were scared are still true. So let's face them together. Perfect. I'm obsessed with this duo so much
Yeah,
already.
me too.
Okay, so once they get unanimated, they kind of try to like roll through the tape and they
Yeah,
think they break out. And then we have that whole scene with the cop. I knew something was weird
me too.
immediately because I'm like, Tommy Lee's mom was our bestie. She was a real one. And now she's being crazy. So, like, I knew that something was wrong instantly. And I
Me
think
too.
this is the part of the episode where people are like, oh, they spent too much time, in this sequence with the fourth wall breaking and everything. And I don't really have a problem with this whole part of the episode, but they could have probably left out this scene with the cop and fake Tommy Lee's mom because I don't know if we really needed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think we necessarily needed it, but I do like having it. I like that it's more than just them being in the animated space and then being in the white like background space
Mm,
and then where they eventually end up with a group of people we will get to in a moment. So I like that there's some like there's another situation. Yeah, I mean, they could have sped it up, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
It's
In this
time.
episode, the show really quite literally breaks the fourth wall. And the Doctor and Belinda literally leave the television screen and end up in the living room of a bunch of Whovians watching the episode.
So many thoughts, so many opinions. First and foremost, RTD came for us all. He literally was like, yeah, y'all don't exist.
Russell fought back.
He did.
Fought back. He was like, you know what? It's my turn.
He's like, my whole career, I've heard nothing but how I've ruined the show. How about I point out that you guys are annoying? And he wasn't wrong.
No, wasn't wrong. I love that they're wearing a fez and a scarf.
Yes.
I love that one of them is like, Robin, how she's like, I knew this would happen because it leaked online. Stop.
And something even funnier is that on the Doctor Who subreddit, one of the comments literally said, I read this leak online a year ago.
Stop. Also, it's just so funny because this whole episode was like all over online last year, whenever they were filming it, because I remember seeing Belinda and the Doctor in those outfits and being like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for this.
Yeah, I remember when they were filming like all of the outside shots, but thankfully I was not spoiled to this fourth wall break moment.
Yeah.
But apparently some people were.
Yeah, I was not spoiled on that at all, but I tend to stay away from the leaks because why would you want to know what's gonna happen? Okay, the Blink stuff was so validating for us.
No, so validating. Okay, because
literally days before this episode came out, Haley and I off mic, we were reading a bunch of like top 10 Doctor Who episode list, top 20 from the last 20 years. And so many of those lists have Blink as the number one best episode of all time. And this has always just been a pet peeve for us.
Yes, because it is not the best episode of all time in Doctor Who. I'm sorry. It's good, but it's not the best of all time. It doesn't even represent the show. The Doctor is barely in it.
Exactly. Like, yes, Blink is an incredible episode, but if you think that's the best Doctor Who episode, or if that's your favorite Doctor Who episode, do you even like the show? Because that's not a Doctor Who episode.
Exactly.
So people were like, why would they say Blink? You know, that doesn't make sense. And they all agreed the same episode. But, you know, because of the conversations we've had about that and just like seeing everyone always put Blink as the number one best episode, I thought it was perfect. And I love that Russell made that joke because, yeah, it's just so silly that Blink is always the number one. Yeah.
And I love how 15 is like, really? Not the one with the goblins or the one when I was on the landmine? And they just keep saying Blink. It's just great.
Yeah, I love how he says he has to say that the one with the landline is brilliant. I feel like Russell put in that line just so he could give Moffat like some praise and not totally bash on one of his like old time praised episodes. He was like, okay, I can't fully, you know, go after him.
Yeah, no, you're so right. Okay, I need to bring something really serious up actually.
Okay.
With all their talking and breaking the fourth wall, they don't bring up Rose Tyler.
Yes, okay. First off, what would you tell the Doctor your favorite adventure is? And second, what are some things you would say to him if he showed up in your living room?
Okay, this is actually really bad because I was just like crapping on Blink. Like the Doctor's barely even in it. It doesn't represent the show. And I would say my favorite episode is Turn Left. But an alternate one, you know, I would say Utopia.
Oh, good one.
Yeah, or Silent. Okay, I can't keep going here. There's lots to choose from. So yeah, I would probably say Turn Left, like gun to my head. I would say Turn Left. But if I was seeing 15 in person, I might say No, because he was barely 73 yards. This is so bad. Okay. I'm moving past this first question. Just know I would choose something that would totally have me suck up to whatever incarnation of the Doctor I was encountering.
Like Peter Capaldi, I'd say Heaven Sent. If it was Matt Smith, I'd say Good Man Goes to War. I don't know. David Tennant, I'll say Silence in the Library. Christopher Eccleston, Parting of the Ways.
Or Parting of the Ways, yeah.
Yeah.
On to your second question. You've made an error because I have a list of things I would bring up to the Doctor.
Give us the list.
Okay, first off, why didn't you tell Rose Tyler you loved her on that beach of Bad Wolf Bay?
Mm-hmm.
Second, why would you leave 10-2 with Rose Tyler on Bad Wolf Bay? Oh, I would also ask, or actually I would tell the Doctor, go back and get Susan. It's been long enough. You've seen other people. You've literally seen one of your companions turn into a Cyberman, and you don't want to go to Susan because you don't want to see her die. Like, get up, go get her, pick her up, bring her back.
It's long overdue. Like,
it's long overdue.
You know where you last saw her. Just go back there.
I would also ask for the Doctor to show me the TARDIS, but specifically in the TARDIS, show me the wardrobe room.
Oh my gosh.
And let me dress up.
Please.
So that's my list. I have more, but I will stop here. What would you say or ask him?
Similar to you, I would be like, why did you leave Rose on that damn beach? And then what else would I say? Just go get Rose. Go see Martha Jones. That's what I'd say. Go see Martha Jones. Go see Martha. Go see Amy and Maury. Go see River. Just go see everyone that you need to see, honestly. Like, we have some catching up to do. Yeah.
Okay, so in kind of like the closing moment of the scene where, everyone's realized the Whovians are fake. They don't exist, which Russell, anyways.
But then we do exist again.
But we do exist again? Yeah. What I do want to say, though, is that I really think there was and I'm being genuine here, I really think there was a missed opportunity for there to be a line where the Doctor says we're all stories in the end when they're talking about the end and like the music is playing. I really think that would have been such a perfect line. I don't know if Moffat would have signed off on that, but I just feel like that would have fit so well there.
That would have been nice. I feel like they could have done a few more little things with the scene as well.
Yeah.
Like, just a couple more callbacks. Maybe they bring up, like, they all say Blink, but then they mention, oh yeah, and another episode. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they could have just done a little bit more. But I do really love when they're all saying goodbye. And I love that the fans kind of get to save the day. Also, seeing the logo for the show on the TV.
Oh my gosh, that took me
out. So funny.
And again, Murray Gold's music is just top notch every time, but especially in this episode. Like, we didn't talk about this, but there's Amy's theme playing in the TARDIS scene in the beginning of this episode when Belinda says she wants to go home.
Yes. And on one hand, I'm like, why are we recycling old music cues? But on the other hand, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Amy's theme. Like, I'm so happy to hear this right now. But
yeah,
so I'm conflicted. Also, the moment where Robin says, thanks to you, I met my two best friends. That was just so sweet to me. I loved that so much because that's like such a great part of the show and this universe is all the people that have connected over the show. Mm-hmm. And I just loved it so much. It's so sweet.
It's really sweet.
Oh, one thing that was nice, in the scene, Belinda's calling us and the Whovians like annoying, which is so valid. But then she's like sad when they're gone, so that was nice. Like, oh, she's sad that we're gone.
I know, and I love what she says to the Doctor. She says that we have to go back and fight that thing because maybe your life isn't so mad after all.
Oh, that is nice.
I love that, and I love their hug.
Yeah,
they're really bonding.
They are. I love when they get back to reality and she jumps. I know, who knows? What if they're like this? Okay, can't. But she just jumps into nurse mode when she sees that the doctor
Mhm.
burned his hand, which I love. I want to keep seeing that happen.
Yeah.
And then we find out that the 15th Doctor has had leftover regeneration energy this whole time because of the bigeneration.
Oh, no. It's not regeneration energy. He calls
Oh,
it bigeneration energy. And I just want to say right here and right now, change it back. Change it back. I want the regeneration word used again. I'm so sick of hearing bigeneration. I'm sorry. It had its place. It happened. I don't want this to be the future of the Doctor.
Well, I think that was them explaining, like, oh, I have leftover regeneration energy because of the bigeneration.
I don't care. Just say regeneration.
But they had to explain, like, obviously,
No,
it's
that
kind
is
of funny
true.
because, like, Belinda's like, what the, what's a bigeneration? Hello? But they have to explain it to the audience, like, oh, I
So
have this
true.
because of the bigeneration.
Yeah, RTD called us all annoying for a reason, including me. So,
Yeah.
anyways, besides all of my feelings about using the word bigeneration, I'm just a stickler for the classic, okay? I miss that Shooty never got like the classic regeneration
I know.
hangover kind of
Yeah.
episode. I think that's my thing, but I do love that like healing moment with his energy. Like that's such a classic Doctor move. I'm really curious, like with all the energy that Mr. Ringading stole from 15, was that the rest of the bigeneration energy and is it like reset? Or are we just never going to address it again?
Yeah, they will probably never address it again.
That's what I'm thinking.
Also, I thought it was kind of crazy. Like, we're just now finding out he had this leftover energy after all this time.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're really just pulling that out of nowhere, but okay.
No, literally.
Okay, so Belinda has a line when the Doctor's tied up by film tape where she says that she trusts him. Like, I'm sorry if I didn't before, but I trust you now. But why? What has he done to make her trust him now?
Honestly, I think it's because she knows that he knows more than she does, and ultimately she's traveling with him. She has to trust him eventually before she gets home. And I think earlier in this episode when he confessed to her that like, hey, I'm really scared about May 2025 and I don't know if I can get you home, I think that's also what led her into trusting him.
I just hope they don't completely throw out the dynamic they had in the Robot Revolution, where she really cuts through him, sees through him, all that. Like,
for sure,
they can get closer, they can bond, they can have fun moments, but let's still keep the tension. You know, I don't want that to be completely erased so soon.
I completely agree.
So as Mr. Ringading is taking all this regeneration energy, this is really where he becomes horrifying.
I don't know why, but when I first watched this episode, it was reminding me of like the Five Nights at Freddy's creature, like a combo of that and that like really creepy giant what's his face? Simpson from The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like a combo of those. And I just was like, RTD, were you high when you signed off on the final look? Because this is terrifying. Good job.
Yeah. No. I think it looks great. This whole episode, visually gorgeous from top to bottom.
Stunning. Like, I cannot get over Reginald's wife, like, being all in black and white while he's dancing with her.
Oh,
like, that was insane. And, like, you're right. The animation, the lighting, the colors, everything just is so beautiful in this episode.
I really like the ending that Lux gets in this episode. How he's just kind of drowned by the light and he becomes part of the universe. He becomes everything and nothing. It's kind of a really beautiful ending in a way.
That's tea because I actually disagree.
Oh my gosh.
I know. We always agree on like everything, so it's interesting when we disagree. I just wish there was something more to the resolution of defeating him.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
very
is more
rushed.
my issue. Yeah, it's very rushed, very sudden, very like, oh, like then what was everything else for if this was like the end goal? I don't completely hate it. Like, I think it's a really like different way of villain kind of ends instead of like this really insane or really like upsetting ending. The villain just like pieces out and gets absorbed. Just wish there was more to it and it wasn't as rushed.
Yeah.
But all in all, I loved this episode. I love how everyone is saved and they get reunited with their loved ones at the end of this episode.
All 15. Oh, I wish they gave more, or they just talked about more about how Reggie literally died and sacrificed himself.
Yeah, you're right.
That's really just brushed over.
It is brushed over. I also saw someone comment again on Reddit, and I didn't save the comment, so I don't know who wrote it, but they said that anyone find it interesting that this plot had Reginald destroy this random film, and they're like, what if this is the in-universe reason for the missing Doctor Who episodes of Classic Who?
Even though this took place 11 years before Classic Who started.
Yeah.
Timey-wimey,
you know?
Yeah.
Also, limited run. Show ends May the 24th. Mrs. Flood, girly. Girl, what's gonna go on? Because that's when we get Wish World. That's not even when we get the reality war. That's when we get Wish World.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The finale isn't on May 24th?
No.
Oh, wow. My mind is blown. Okay, that's so interesting. Also, back to the whole like reality war concept. When the Doctor is explaining the pantheon of gods to Belinda and Reggie, he says that when the gods look down on us, that's when reality is in danger. And the finale is called the reality war. So I don't know. Something's we've said it before, but something's happening with reality, and I'm just really interested to see where we're going and if it's gonna pay off at all. Who's the star of the show?
You know, honestly, I have to give it to the fake Whovians. They were the real ones. They were really, yes, their one flaw was they said blink nonstop, but they really were supportive to the Doctor and did genuinely try to help him out. Like, they did what they could,
Yeah. I love how they say, like, I love you. Also a funny thing about that scene is when how Lizzie says she's seen every episode. Girly, that's not possible.
Yeah.
You physically could not have seen every episode, but
maybe she meant New Who.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming, but still, it's very funny. And I love how they get to have that moment where they hug the Doctor and tell him they love him. Very sweet. Like, I love that whole scene. Y'all can't make me hate it. I don't care.
Me either.
Yeah, I agree. Star of the show is the Whovians. I'll also give it to the guy working at the diner. He seems chill.
Yeah, for sure.
What is the heart of this episode?
The heart of this episode is that Blink is unfortunately the episode every person thinks is the best Doctor Who episode, and that's just not true. And RTD validated us, so that's the heart of this story.
No, he really specifically validated us. And I really appreciate that.
Me too. And no shade to Moffat. We love Moffat. It's just Blink is overrated.
Yeah. Do we have any reviews for this episode?
Yes, we sure do. They are both from the Doctor Who subreddit. And this first review is by the user on2007-15. And they wrote saying, quote, I think that was one of the best Ncuti episodes ever. Really putting this series over the last. That fourth wall break seemed perfectly played out, and I've had problems with how much the show seems to break their fourth wall, from Mrs. Flood to Maestro's glances to the camera to playing the Doctor Who theme, etc., but I think it was done perfectly in this episode. Lux was a brilliant villain, and I thought it combined elements of the start of the revival run. It felt very much like The Wire, or perhaps The Great Intelligence from The Bells of St. John, but with a more modern spin. The ending, I think, was a tiny bit disappointing. Lux just kind of embraced their fate, which was interesting and new. I didn't hate it, it was just new.
Yeah, I'm glad that someone else also thought of the idiot's lantern and I'm not alone.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree with them. The fourth wall break was set up and framed perfectly in this episode.
Yes, I was really scared going into this, and like they're
Yeah.
in the scene where it's all white in the background, like you know it's coming. I was like,
Yeah.
something's happening. There's been rumors about, the doctor finding out that his life is a TV show. So I was really scared, but I thought they handled it really well. And
Mm-hmm.
this kind of relieves some fears of mine that the finale was going to be the doctor finding out he's in a show. So I feel like
Yeah.
since they already did that here, they can't do that in the finale. So yeah.
And this last review I have is by the user elegant_matter2150. And they wrote saying, this episode is up there for them with Dot and Bubble in 73 yards. Except this felt much more like typical Doctor Who. The Doctor and companion arriving somewhere, investigating, and eventually helping out where they can. I loved 15 Belinda and their dynamic this episode, and this is the first time Shooty really felt like the Doctor for me. I also loved Mr. Ring-a-Ding and the entire 50s Miami setting. Genuinely amazing episode, 8 out of 10 for just how fun it was. If this season continues like this, it might be one of my favorites yet.
Yeah, I agree. I really like how the season is going so far. I really like where it feels like we're heading. And this episode does feel very classic Doctor Who,
Mm-hmm.
but also embracing new ideas and doing something that they never could have done before. And I think that's just really what this era is all about. And I love it.
Me too. And I can't wait to talk about the well next week.
Oh,
it
I'm
looks
so excited.
good.
I can't wait. Until then, we are on Instagram and TikTok at TimeyWimeyPod.
And email us anything and everything, theories, questions, requests, anything to timeywimeypod@gmail.com and leave us a review on your podcast listening platform.
See you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.